I'm Chris Wallace, and this is Fox News Sunday. The case against Rod Blagojevich, Part 2. Prosecutors seem to have the evidence to convict him of corruption.
I've got this thing, and it's golden. I'm just not giving it up for nothing.
But the high-profile trial ended with a hung jury on all but one count. We'll ask the controversial former governor the hard questions he never had to answer in court. Rod Blagojevich. It's a Fox News Sunday exclusive. Then in growing numbers, Americans question the president's religious beliefs, while top Democrats split over the Ground Zero Mosque. We'll ask our Sunday panel what's the fallout for the midterm elections. And our Power Player of the Week, a mother's story of courage. All right now on Fox News Sunday. And hello again from Fox News in Washington. The corruption trial of former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich finally ended this week. He was convicted on one count of making false statements to the FBI, but the jury could not reach a verdict on all the other charges. The governor joins us now from Chicago for a Sunday exclusive. Governor, you were supposed to come here to Washington today, but instead you attended a convention in Chicago called Comic-Con, where you posed with Soros and charged $50 for an autograph and $80 for a photo. Is there anything you won't do for a buck these days?
Well, I didn't really get any money for any of the photos I took because I took probably hundreds of them and couldn't bother to ask anybody for any money for that. Those were free. I did sign some signatures. I was there because I was invited at the last minute by the promoters, and it was an opportunity to get out there among the people. You know, Chris, when the federal government comes down on you and these prosecutors are determined to get you and they target you, among the things they do that doesn't make headlines is they squeeze you financially. They squeeze you and your family to keep you from being able to earn a living and to force you and compel you to basically surrender and give up and admit to things that you didn't do. And so part of this battle that I'm in, this war that I'm in, is also one where I have to make a living for my little girls, my daughters, and for my wife. And when I was invited and had a chance to be able to do that, I did it. The reality is I spent most of my time just meeting with people, ordinary people, and just feeling the pulse of them. It wasn't exactly, some tremendous way to earn a living, but it was a way to get out among the people and a chance, frankly, to meet some of the heroes that some of us had when we were kids, like, the guy that played Batman, Burt Ward, and the guy that played Robin, Adam West. I flipped him around. It's the other way around. But no, it's important to earn a living when you're facing these kinds of situations, and we're trying to keep our head above water.
Governor, yes, prosecutors have already said they're going to retry you, and in fact there's going to be a court hearing on Thursday to discuss the schedule for that. The fact is you were not acquitted. The jury hung on 23 of those 24 counts, so why shouldn't the government retry you, which they do all the time?
Chris, when the government went into my house at 6 o'clock in the morning on the December 9th, 2008, and this prosecutor had me locked up in a jail cell, and he told the people of Illinois and the people across America that I was selling the president's Senate seat for money, and he was, quote-unquote, stopping a crime spree before it happened, that Abraham Lincoln would roll over in his grave. He did what Winston Churchill said. He told a lie, and that traveled halfway around the world before the truth had a chance to put its pants on. The government put their case on. We did not put on a defense. Their case did not prove any corruption, as I had said all along. And in the final analysis, and notwithstanding the fact that we didn't put on a defense, the government failed to prove any corruption and confirmed everything I've said. Now, I'm ready for round two. In the second round, we're going to put a defense on, I'm certain. And in that particular case, we're going to call witnesses like Rahm Emanuel, Senator Harry Reid, Senator Menendez, Congressman Jackson, Congressman Costello, and a host of other leading Democrats who were involved in this process to try to make a decision on who the next senator should be.
I got to pick you up on this because, Governor, you talked about a big defense and calling all these witnesses, and you couldn't wait to take the stand, and you didn't do any of that. Are you saying now, and quite frankly, people are going to be skeptical of anything you say, are you saying you're going to call all those people to testify in a second trial?
They were all subpoenaed. In fact, we tried to subpoena President Obama.
Well, it's not a question of subpoena. You could have called them, and you didn't call them. So are you saying, so help me God, I am going to call those people?
Well, I intended to testify, and we intended to call all those people in the first trial. The government promised that their case was
I'm
going to
asking
take
you a
4
question,
months.
though. Are you saying,
Well,
so help me God,
but
I'm going to testify, I'm going to call these people in the second trial?
I'm going to do what I did in the first trial, which is work with my lawyers and see how things unfold. We're prepared to call them as witnesses like we were the first time, and I'm eager to testify like I was the first time. The decision to not put a case on was based upon the fact that the government's case was so flimsy and weak that my lawyers advised me, and I made the decision to rest our case. And we made the right decision. The government failed to prove their case, and it's remarkable when you think about what that prosecutor said, that we didn't even put a defense on. And rightfully, the jury could not find any corruption.
One of the things I worried about is you do have a tendency to go on, and I want to get through some areas with you. So if I can get you to answer my specific questions, sir. You paid for your defense in the first trial because you had a big campaign war chest of several $1 million. That money has now run out. And if you have a second trial, it's going to be picked up by the federal taxpayers. I suspect a lot of our viewers are going to be shocked to hear that. How much is that going to cost taxpayers if there's a second trial to pay for your defense?
Well, I think the question ought to be to the prosecutor, how much money of taxpayer dollars did you spend on this trial? I would guess tens of millions of dollars to get a guy you targeted for 6 years, and then when we didn't even put a defense on, you could not show any corruption, and you couldn't because it didn't exist. The next question should be, why would that person use taxpayer dollars to bring another prosecution again? The Wall Street Journal has said that or the Washington Post has said this has turned from a prosecution to a persecution, and should the taxpayers have to pay for a prosecutor who's out to get somebody? We have crime in the streets of Chicago. Mayor Daley is struggling to get 100 new police officers. 179 FBI agents in this case, Chris, went around asking questions of people. Do I gamble? Which I don't. Do I do drugs? Which I don't. And the most sickening question, am I unfaithful to my wife, Patty? Which I'm not. I'm devoted, I love her, and I'm faithful. Okay. The idea that your tax dollars and mine are being spent on questions like that, I think ought to raise questions, and those questions would be posed to the prosecutors who are persecuting
Governor, let's get to the central charge against you in this case, not about whether or not you did drugs or were unfaithful, but whether or not you wanted to sell the Senate seat of Barack Obama after he was elected president. The jury believed you were guilty by a vote of 11. They believed you were guilty by a vote of 11 to 1. Here are some of the phone conversations you made that the government secretly recorded. Let's listen.
I've got this thing, and it's golden. I'm just not giving it up for nothing. I'd like to get out of here. The objective is to get a good gig over there. Cabinet's out of the question, but Health and Human Services would be I take that in a second. You and an ambassador, I take that. You Russian mother. You see me?